Pre-Calc 2.2 homework. The first 1 through 12, you are simply factoring these. So again, make sure the problem is set equal to 0, and use whatever factoring you learned in 9th and 10th grade and to be able to break this up. So for the first one, what two numbers multiply to give you x squared? X times x. What two numbers multiply to give you positive 15 but add to be negative 8? Now we're solving them. So you're going to set each of these equal to 0. What are your two solutions? 3 and 5. These are the answers that if you plugged in here, you would get a 0 and a 5. If you plugged in for x, you would get a 0. Number 2, what should you first do?
Bring 14 to the
Yep,
other side.
bring 14 to the other side. Factor this. X times x is x squared. And I'm going to say 7 and positive 2. That's going to add up to be negative 5. So my two solutions are 7 and negative 2. Number 5, now that when the coefficient is not a 1, so we have 2y and y. This is going to be a positive 3 because that's going to give us 6 and a negative 1. That'll multiply to give you negative 3 and FOIL out to give you a 5. So my two solutions are 1/2 and what else? Negative 3. Excellent. Number 7. Okay, this one has a 4t squared. But I need a 9 here. And 4 times 2 is 8. So I'm going to say, try this. Because that gives us 8 and 1 is 9. And these two multiply to give you 2. So what are my two answers? Negative 1/4 and negative 2.
Confusing, we needed the 4, the question of that.
What two numbers multiply to give you 4t squared? But you want to make sure that the outer and the inners multiply and add to give you 9t. Next one, what should you first do? Okay, so in the first position, what times what is 3u squared? You don't have much choice there. Now, do I want to put a 4 and a 1 here, a 1 and a 4 here, or a 2 and a 2? Well, what combination is going to
1 and
work
a
so that
4.
the outer, 1 and 4? Does that work? Nope.
Well, I just
Nope.
know because
That's going to give us 12 and 1. Nope, that's nowhere.
I didn't say in that order. I just said
Oh.
those things. Not like 2 and 2 because you still need 1 to be
Okay, so
there.
you want 4 here and 1 here,
Sure.
and he is correct. Now, one of them has to be negative. Which one?
Second one.
Yep,
Yeah.
you are right.
Get it, Karen.
So it's negative 4/3 and positive 1 are my two answers. Last one, what should I do? This one's gonna take some thinking here.
Oh,
Help me out here. 4 and 3. Now, I have no idea. 2 and 2. So let's see. 12, that's 8 and 6. Does that work? 8 and 6 is 14. Nope. What can I do?
6 and 2.
Which is 6 and 2? These two?
Yeah.
Try 6 here and 2. Does that work? 12. Nope. What else? That's 12. What else can we try? How about if we put
I'm not good at this.
a 4 and a 1 here? So that's gonna give us 6 and 8. Nope. Anyone else? Let's go back to 3 and 4. Let's go back to 3 and 4. We need some scrap paper. this one, now there's another way you could do the AC method,
Yeah.
but let's not do that. Has anyone figured out the combination yet? 4 and 3. 4 and 1, does that work? 4, 12. No, what is it? What is it?
4x minus 1 and 3x plus 4.
So the 1 and the 4 have to be switched. Like that?
Yeah.
Does
Plus
that work?
4.
Oh, 4. Does that work?
Mhm.
So we have 12, 16, and 3. Yep, there you go. So this one is gonna be 4x minus 1 and 3x plus 4. Let's double check. 4x times 3x gives us our 12x. This is gonna give us 16 minus 3 is 13. Good job. Now, what are my two solutions? 1/4 and -4/3. Okay, the next set. We are going to use what we did in taking the square root of both sides, but make sure you simplify. And by the way, in the directions it says give exact solutions and approximate solutions if appropriate. So they wanted both, like I did in the notes. So for this one, you're gonna take the square root of both sides. Can you simplify 40? How do you simplify 40? 40 is 8 times 5. So it is plus or minus 2 root 10. So that's the exact answer. What is 2 root 10 as an estimated answer? 2 times the square root of 10 is about 6.3. So it's plus or minus 6.3. And we should use the squiggly approximately. Okay, what about 17? What are you first gonna do with that 3?
Divide.
Uh-huh. And then what?
Root 2.
Plus or minus 2. Next one.
Can you divide by -5?
Yeah, divide by -5. And what do you get? I think that's an S.
Root 6.
Is that an S?
Plus or
Yeah.
minus root 6.
Okay, so plus or minus root 6. Those are exact. And what is the square root of 6? About 2.4.
So you want those decimals?
Yes, it says give exact
Okay.
and approximate solutions. Okay, and the last one, tell me what to do here. Add 4, first get rid of that, then divide by 25. Then what? Root both sides. So plus or minus what? 2/5. So you don't have to give me an estimated, it's 2/5, plus or minus 2/5. Okay, the next two, I want you to complete the square. It says solve by completing the square. So for 25, and these are easy ones to complete the square, the C value is already on the right side, so what do I have to do next?
Divide by 2, square the b value.
Take half of this and
Yeah.
square it, and then add 1 to both sides. Factor this. What's 12 and 1? 13. Square root both sides. And then add 1. We're just gonna leave the estimated answer here. If you needed to, this is the exact answer. If you needed the estimated answer, you type in your calculator 1 plus root 13 and 1 minus root 13. Okay, next one, how do you complete the square? What's the first thing you're gonna do? Add 30 half of -4 and
Plus four.
square it. Add 4 to both sides. Factor this.
Two negatives, yep. Square root.
Square root. Can 34 be broken up?
2 and 17.
So there's nothing there, 2 and 17, and what's your final answer? What do I have to do with
X
this
equals
-2?
2 plus or minus root 34.
Yep. These are exact answers, not estimated. Okay, let's try the quadratic formula. Now, could I complete the square on this one? Absolutely. Am I gonna get the same answer? Absolutely.
Perhaps.
I would probably prefer to complete the square on that one.
Can we just complete the, they're all like even numbers too.
But this one's gonna give you
Oh, okay.
a
That's
problem.
fine. Okay, well, the first two,
I don't mind. I don't mind if you wanna complete the square.
faster.
It is faster. So, someone do complete the square and someone do quadratic formula. And let's see if we get the same answer. I'll complete the square, because I think it's quicker. Half of this squared. You lost?
Okay.
There you go. You bring -1 over, it becomes -1. You take half of this and square it, add 4 to both sides. Factor, add, square root, bring over. Now, if you use the quadratic formula, you would have had -b, which is +4, plus or minus the square root of 16 minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 1. All over 2 times 1, which is 2. So what is 16 minus 4? It is 12. What's 12 written differently, simplified? 2 root 3. And why does this answer look different than what we got? We got 2 plus or minus root 3.
Yeah.
Why is 2 plus or minus root 3 different than this? Because this is not simplified. 2 goes into 4 2 times, and then they cancel. So you will get the same answer. You want to do complete the square? Seems like completing the square, as much as you guys hated it, it's actually easier. So if you brought 7 over, half of 6 is 3, square it, you get 9. Factor, square root, plus or minus root 2, and then subtract 3. Oops, square root 2. Questions? Okay, 39. I would not recommend completing the square on this, because you would have to divide everything by 5. You'd have 8/5, and then take half of that and square it. It's a mess. So this one, I would turn it into standard form first. And now I would use the quadratic formula. This is not a good problem for completing the square. So it's opposite of b. B squared minus 4 times 5 times 2, all over 2 times 5, which we can just write 10. So it's -8 plus or minus 64 minus 40 over 10, -8. Now we're simplifying, this gives us 24, right? And simplify, it's going to be 2 root 6. And now one more thing we can do. Reduce these all by 2's. So 2 goes into 8 4 times, 2 goes into 2 1 time, and 2 goes into 10 5 times. So your best answer is, I'm gonna put it right here, it's -4 plus or minus root 6 over 5. So far, okay? Backside. These three want the discriminant. That's gonna tell us how many, the number of real solutions. The discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Well, b is 4, so 4 squared is 16 minus 4 times 1, c is 1. So 16 minus 4 is 12. Since the discriminant is 12, it's positive, that means there's 2 real solutions. Number 43. To find the discriminant, you're first going to want to put this in standard form. So it's b squared minus 4ac. b is -12. When you square -12, you get 144 minus 4 times 9 times -1. What's 144? This is going to turn into plus 36. 180. So the discriminant is 180, that means there's 2 solutions. In 45, 25t squared, this is your b value, but it has to be brought over. Okay, so this is gonna be a big number. The b value is -70, so that squared is gonna be 4900 minus 4 times a is 25 times 49. Well, I don't know what, I can't do that in my, well, actually, yeah,
you can.
I can do that in my head.
It's the same number.
Come on, this is 100, and 100 times 49 is what? 4,900. And what's 4,900 minus 4,900? 0. So the discriminant is 0. That means there
One solution.
is one solution. Okay, these are to the 4th power. You can do these. That's a 4. I know it's hard to read, but you're going to simply factor it. What times what is y to the 4th power? Y squared, y squared. What times what is 6 but adds to be -7? Then set each of these equal to 0. Anyone have the answers? And this is plus or minus 1. Give you that in your head, right? So there's up to 4 answers, and we got all 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next one. X squared. X squared. What times what is 35 but adds to be -2?
5 and 7.
What kind of 5 and what kind of 7?
7 possible.
So when you set these equal to 0, what answers do you get? Plus or minus root 7. And what ends up happening over here? No solution. You can't take the square root of a negative number. So this one, there were only 2 solutions. Plus or minus root 7. And the last one. Did anyone get this one factored? This is going to be 2y squared and y squared. This one's not too bad to factor because I need an 8, I need a 9. So if I make this an 8, 4 times 2 is 8, and a 1, make them both negative, I will get my 9. So set this equal to 0. 2y squared minus 1 equals 0. Add 1, divide by 2. Whoops. Plus or minus the square root of 1. Now, can you do anything different to this? Yes, you can rationalize the denominator. So it's root 2 over 2. And I'm not reviewing that right now. And what are the other 2 answers on this side? Do that in your head. plus or minus 2.
How'd she get 2 over 2?
Rationalize.
Oh.
1 over root 2, multiply the top and the bottom by root 2 over 2. And the last two. What would k have to be so there's one solution? So you're going to do this b squared minus 4ac equal to 0, using k as the b value. So this one would be k, b is k, minus 4 times 1. This one looks like what we did in our notes, and it is. Add 100. What's k? Plus or minus 10. Same with this one, but instead of b being k, what's k? A. So b squared, which is 64, minus 4 times k times 1. How do I solve for k now?
64 minus 4k. Subtract 64 and divide by
You could
94.
subtract 64, or what you could do is, what is this all equal to?
4K.
Yeah? What else could I do? Instead of subtracting 64, I could add 4k. And bring 4k over here. And what's the answer?
16.
16.
That's a lot.
How'd you get 16? Divide.
I don't know,
64 divided by 4.
yeah. How many got here?
Can you hit the record button?